All right, so we're going to add more to our area notes. So just a reminder, we already filled out the front. So hopefully you still have this paper with you, or if you did it just on your own piece of paper, we're just going to add to it, okay? So again, area is the measurement of the inside of a polygon. Where, example, on this rectangle, the perimeter was this outside edge. And remember, perimeter is just adding all sides together, and it doesn't matter what kind of shape or polygon it is. Area is this inside part, okay? And so each shape or polygon has a different formula. So the first formula that we did was the square or rectangle. It shared the same formula. It is just length times width. So here our length was 10, our width was 5. So 10 times 5 equals 50. And just remember, on area, you have to square your label. So 50 meters squared, or 50 square meters. So this is probably how you're going to have to write yours, just because on a keyboard, it may not be able to get it where you have, because it cannot just be a regular big 2 after the M. It has to be like that small 2 up in the air, like an exponent. So if you cannot do that, you'll have to do the square, the SQ period, and then whatever label you're measuring in. So that will stay the same for parallelogram. Okay, so parallelograms. So it's kind of like a rectangle that we just kind of pushed over and is leaning a little bit. And remember, a parallelogram, the top and bottom have the exact same length. The two sides are parallel and have the exact same length. Our formula is base times height. Excuse me. So we can't just do a side and a side. When you do these formulas, the things that you multiply together have to be perpendicular. Okay, so they have to make a right angle. It has to be like a square corner. So we cannot take a side, we have to take the height. Okay, they have to be perpendicular. All right, so we're going to use the 6, because if this side is 6, this side is 6. And we're going to use the 4 because that's the height. That's what's making that right angle, that square corner. Okay, so our base is 6 times our height, which is 4. And 6 times 4 is 24. And on this one, we're measuring in feet. So it'd be 24 feet squared. Or again, in your instance, you might need to do the 24 square feet. Okay, so I do want to just show you something. So let me make another parallelogram here. So once in a while, on this one, our height was on the inside of that. Sometimes they're going to put your height on the outside. And again, it does, as long as it's making that right angle, that square corner. So maybe this is our 4 here. This is our 6 here. And maybe they'll even have a 5 here. So this is where, if they are giving you a measurement of a side and a side and a height, you have to make sure you get the right 2 numbers. Okay, and again, here our height was in the inside. Here the height is on the outside. It's still the same thing. You still have to make that right angle, that square corner. So again, on this one, you're not going to use the 5 at all, because you have to have base and height. So again, you would use the 4 and the 6. Now, if you were doing perimeter, okay, so let's just do this. So our height would be our 6 times 4, which is 24 feet squared. Now, if we were doing perimeter on this one, because a lot of times you're going to do height and perimeter both, this is where you're going to have to take all 4 sides. So on this one, on area, we left the 5 out. On perimeter, we're going to leave the 4 out. So it would be 6 plus 5, but then you got to do another 6 and another 5. Plus 6 plus 5. 6 plus 5 is 11. 6 plus 5 is 11. 11 plus 11 is 22. And again, when we write our label here, we don't need to square it. Okay, so today you are only doing area. And it will only, it's literally just going to show you the 2 numbers that you need to use. It will show you the height, it will show you the base. I just wanted to show you this so on a future assignment where maybe you have to find both the area and the perimeter, you'll know what all these numbers mean. Okay? So your height and your base have to be perpendicular, and that's what you're using for area. So 4 times 6, and again you have to square that label. Whenever you do get to the point where you also have to do perimeter, that's where you're going to use, like here, the 6 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5. So that will have nothing to do with perimeter. All right, so today though, you will just be worrying about base times height. Those will be the only 2 numbers that you have, just to have some practice. They are just basic numbers, so no calculators. You can use your multiplication chart if you have one made up like we did last year at school. And again, make sure when you type in that label, you type it with the square. Okay, so if you can't do the little 2, make sure the square comes first. So don't put 24 feet square. You only do that if you can do it this way. If you have to type it out, the square does need to come first. 24 square feet. All right, we will see you later, and keep this. We'll be adding on triangles probably next week. So we will see you then.